Are you letting fears stop you, Supermom? I mean, like everyday things, like maybe I'm screwing up my kids, or maybe I'm not good enough to be a mom, or maybe I can't start this business today. We all have those same kind of fears as we're raising a family and trying to dig in and figure out who we are and what our purpose is. So in today's episode of Supermom's Guide to, we're going to be working on facing our fears. I'm going to walk you through a 3-step process on how I break down these fears into little bite-sized chunks so that they're not so massively scary anymore. We're going to go over to what they are, figuring out exactly what they are objectively and not just about what you're feeling in that moment. We're going to figure out also how to conquer them, make a game plan, figure out the root cause of what it is. And then 3, we're going to take action because fear and action cannot coexist for very long in the same space. So without further ado, let's get started. So step number 1 is, what are you actually scared of? So often we let our emotions get in the way, and it creates this like snowball effect where maybe it was just this tiny little something you were scared of turned into a big monstrous problem. Have you ever wondered why you're terrified of spiders? Was it maybe just because, a little spider bit you and you remember it hurting when you were smaller? What's the root of what it is? So when you're looking at something you're scared of, take away all the emotions and look objectively about the piece that is actually bothering you. For example, one of them that I hear so many times with moms, and I myself can relate to, is I'm terrified of screwing up my kids, or not being a good enough mom. You see so many people on social media and everything else in their highlight reel, and it's like, how can you live up to that, right? Now we all know that that's just smoke and mirrors and that we should not compare ourselves to others, but it still creeps up into our heads sometimes. So I can either look at the emotional part of it and let the fear stop me and prevent me from even trying, or I can look at it objectively and then go on to step number 2, which is going to be to break it down. Once you have addressed what your fear is, figure out what the core of it is. So I'm scared of messing up my children. At the end of the day, what am I actually scared of? And that's going to be, I'm not scared that they're going to have a problem. I'm scared that maybe I don't have the skills to do it, or maybe I'm inadequate as a parent. Maybe I don't have the tenacity to push through or the skills to be able to teach my kids the proper way to do things. Maybe I'll feel like a failure if my kid doesn't show up, it doesn't turn out in the way that I had hoped for them. So when you dig to the root of it, then you can actually figure out what you need to work on. Because me worrying about the kids, screwing them up, I can't change that. That's the emotional part. But the real root of it is I'm scared of me failing, of me not having the skills, of me not knowing the tools to help them develop and grow, and so they can be a positive member of society. And then that's going to lead us to step number 3. Once you figure out what you're really working on, which for me in this example is not fixing my kids, it is fixing me and where I feel inadequate. So one, I can either work on myself and figure out, get books, tools, other moms, and support and love that can help me develop the skills that I wish that I had. I can tackle the piece of not feeling like I'm good enough. Well, if you look at it from your kids' eyes and you shift your perspective a little bit, kids don't care how good you are. kids don't understand the concept of, a good mom or a bad mom. They know that their needs are met. There's a baseline there. But other than that, they only know you. It's a blessing, right? And maybe some of us might think it's a curse, but it's a blessing. You're stuck with your mom, no matter who she is. And at the end of the day, they want to know that they're loved. They want to know that they're taken care of. And if you want to add anything on top of that, then that's up to you. But you shouldn't feel guilty because you don't, make perfect cookies or a healthy dinner every night. For me, feeling like I am not a good enough mom has always been making sure I take the time to just spend time with them. It's making them a priority. So instead of me sitting here and worrying about screwing them up or not having time, why not use that same time that I would be worrying about it in my head and put it towards them? We'll go for a walk. We'll read a book together. We'll go, the other day it was a rainstorm. My daughter and I laid in the middle of the road and experienced just silliness and the rain and stomping in puddles together. It's the simple things that they will remember, not the big stuff that we as adults and as moms think that they should have. Think back to your childhood. Do you remember all the things that you felt were big at the time that you didn't get? Maybe a present you really wanted for your birthday that you didn't get, or a trip that you didn't get to take. I bet you don't remember most of those things, but I bet you do remember the vacations you took, or the trips to the park, or the little beach trips at a hole-in-the-wall place that, were just sand and beach, and that was it. I know I do. And so at the end of the day, your fear is really not that scary. It's not that relevant. And most of the time, our fears are not relevant. They are usually just something that we are scared of because it's unknown. So even the notion of taking the time to look at things objectively is going to make them feel a little less scary. And the more action you can put towards it, the better and the further you're going to get past it. Easier and easier and easier. And again, the more you practice, the more you'll get used to it. It's not as big of a deal the next time and the next time. But yeah, so I challenge you to try this out today. I am actually going to jump over to a special Supermom friend of mine. Her name is Kim, and she also has many mountains that she's had to overcome and fears in her life. And she shared with me the other day about a fear that she was facing head on. And I'd really love for her to share her story with you today, just to hopefully inspire you and maybe help you realize that sometimes just the act of acknowledging it can make a huge step in the right direction. So, Miss Kimberly, welcome. I wanted to share with you today, or with everybody today, just if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of your story about how you've been facing your fears and tackling your mountain, as you call it. I really think that your story is powerful and would love for you to just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing here lately.
So I have always been a huge shopper. If you can see behind me, I have frames and vases, and I just love home decor, and I love shopping, and I love accumulating things. I love beautiful things. I love functional things. And I've been in my house for 16 years, and I have accumulated a lot of things. And as I think about the next chapter of my life, or where I want to move to, and I realize I have so many things that is no longer functional. I have closets that I can't use. I have pantries that don't have food in it. I have a garage I can't park in a major way. And I go through cycles of cleansing, and then I get right back and start accumulating again or creating spaces. And I found through my creative side that I actually do not work well with clutter. And even working with you, you helped me to get past the fact that my office was a barrier for me on my creative side because I had no place to actually go and actually do my creative work. So that's really when I became very clear that clutter for me was a barrier to my process, and that my living space, while I'm not cluttered, all the behind the scenes spaces are. And it just really impacted me in a way that I realized it was a huge mountain for me to get over. And I'm having to pull on all my resources, not just in cleaning it up, but understanding why I am like that. I've always been more of a clutter bug. I like paper and things, and they just make me happy. Having a desk with notebooks and pencils, and it just, when you get to it being so much and you realize you have 16 of the same things, you know that's a problem. But it's not even that. It's the other part of it, when you realize and you rationalize why you have it and why you can't let it go. That's when you have to come to a realization that you have an emotional attachment to things, and that I needed to deal with that. So that's where we really started from.
Can you explain a little bit more? I know for you, we always talked about like digging a little bit deeper. So it's like there's the whole surface level thing, and we all have, it may not be the same mountain that you have, but we all have those things that on the surface, sure, we need to change some things. But I know for you, it's a little bit deeper than that. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of the fears that you found regarding getting rid of the things and the stuff that you surround yourself with?
So for me, my fear, actually, what really became the emotional attachment is that, because this is kind of, I associate things with home,
Mm-hmm.
and because of how I associate my childhood and how I was raised, of never really having that established home, I attribute things that I think make a house beautiful as home. And so all of these things I collect or buy, I associate them with your home. And so it's really hard for some things, like greenery. I love greenery. I love vases, but I really had to dig deep of why these things are so, I am so attached to them, and really doing the work of you asking the deeper question. I didn't realize that all of my life until we talked about it, that I really, really, really love home decor for a simple reason of I just never had these things when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And, but still, too much is just too much.
There's always a limit, right?
Yeah, so it just makes it easier. And as I'm working through this process, it's no longer necessarily a fear. It's just becoming the thought process of how do I weed out what I really do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a brief description of, does it bring you joy, like a decision tree? Like,
Yep.
does it bring you joy? Does it bring you value? Can you wear it? Do you love it? And really saying, of those things that don't fit that criteria, you have to be able to willing to let them go. And I'm eager to work through that process of letting some things go. I'm excited about someone else being able to enjoy some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually brings me joy. And that's actually how I plan on working through releasing some things.
So you're in the action phase now. It's like once you've figured out what you need to do, it's a little less scary to do. It's still not easy, as we all know. But, I like to say that like fear and action can't coexist in the same space for very long. And so it sounds like you're like, as usual, I mean, you're like a rock star, but you are like tackling it head on and really, you know, moving this mountain. So as you go through this, like what's next for Miss Kim?
So so it really was fear. And even as I wrote the blog and talked about it in a real way, and I'm excited about journaling this information as far as sharing what I go through, because there's so many resources out there. And I really did not know where I was going with this. I know I had to talk about it in a real way, but I didn't know that people would reach out to me that I hadn't heard from in a long time and just say that my transparency touched them. So that helped me leap. Really, the fear was literally until I hit the button to say publish. And after that, there was no more fear. Then I was ready. And when, so really the action part for me is now actually I'm excited about going into Discover, because literally in my closet is literally like a treasure hunt. Like there's no telling what I will. And I'm excited to show everything that I find, because people cannot wait to shop at this extravaganza yard sale that I'm going to be having. And I can't wait to show all the goodies that I'm going to come up with,
Mhm.
because really my journey, really literally, this is an anchor to me moving to my next level. And I'm so excited of what's going to happen once I release this anchor, because I really feel like it's going to be phenomenal. And I literally look at it like this: all of this stuff is an anchor and I have to release it. I look at it like when I lost weight, all that weight that I dropped was an anchor and it catapulted me into this. And so that's how I feel about all of this stuff. It's all this lovely stuff that I have. It's an anchor, it's a lovely anchor, but I am going to release it. So
Yay! I'm so happy for you. Like you're just gonna conquer the world. You are conquering the world. Like it just amazing, amazing. So one more thing before we go, just because I like to ask everybody, what is your superpower?
my superpower is I actually came up with my core values.
Okay.
So my core values, actually, the name is Fiji.
Okay.
So that's faith,
Mhm.
integrity, joy, and increase. And I really feel like my superpower, because I believe, in faith that, even if I don't know the plan, that there is a plan and I will come out on the side. But I really believe my superpower that actually gets me through all of that is joy. That I literally have joy, I feel joy, I express joy, and I want to be joyful. And regardless of my circumstances, joy literally gets me through most circumstances. And I really feel like that is my superpower.
I love Kim so much. She seriously is like a rock star, and her faith is undeniable. She's truly inspiring to me, and I hope that she shed a little bit of light and maybe set a fire in your heart today to face a fear and to tackle your mountain, whatever that might be. So just to recap, we went over how to face our fears, and we went through 3 steps. And one was identifying what the fear is, objectively, not just the surface level. Then we took step number 2 and we broke it down into what the deeper underlying root of all of it was. A lot of times our fears are not about what we think they are on the surface, but they're a deeper issue that maybe you need to address. And then number 3 was to take action. The sooner you can push past whatever's scaring you and figure out a game plan to make it happen, the sooner and more easily you'll be able to tackle these fears. Fears and action cannot coexist for very long in the same space. So I want to challenge you today, Super Lady. What do you need to face today? What fear has been maybe holding you back? Are you scared to start that side business? Are you scared to, be the PTA mom at school because you don't feel like you're good enough? Are you scared to travel with your children? Are you scared of anything? To lose weight? To climb a mountain? I don't know. Whatever it is, I challenge you to embrace it today and to face it, because life is on the other side of those fears. I truly believe that. Now, of course, I want to share a special treat with you today. I am opened up a few one-on-one spots in my power class. It's the first time I've offered it as a one-on-one program. It's a 6-week, totally transformative program where if you're feeling in that place, like maybe you don't really know who you are anymore, you might be feeling stuck in this old version of your life, and you're really ready to dig into it, figure out who you are, set new goals, and then help master your mindset so that you have all the tools you need to get there, and then the power class is for you. It's going to be amazing, and I've had so many women go through this program and truly transform their lives. They are past their fears. They're making decisions that they hadn't been able to make for years maybe. Their time management is better. They're less stressed. They feel good and confident in who they are now and what they're going after. When you know which goals you're going after, then the rest is so much easier. It's getting that clear vision and then having the tools to execute it. And that's exactly what the Power Class is. So please, if this sounds like where you're at in your life and you're ready to take the leap and get the support and the help and the little kick in the butt when you need it, all the stuff that you need, then reach out to me. I'd love to hear from my beautiful super ladies. And just no matter where you're at in your journey, just remember that you are this amazing person. You're the only one that can do what you are meant to do. So I love you all, super ladies. Face your fears today. Challenge yourself. Pick one and tackle it head on. I believe in you and I know you can do it. I'll see you next week.